Hi, you guys. We're going to do practice test A for our final unit test on chapter 5. If you are listening to this in 2017, I said we would probably do another one tomorrow in class because some kids came to me concerned and really stressed out. And I don't want anybody to be either one of those things. So let's go through this one. And then we will do another one in class tomorrow to make sure we are very, very, very prepared for our test. So let's look at number 1. And please make sure you guys can find these things in your notes. And if not, get them from someone. You should always have access to this. Use the properties of exponents and logarithms to rewrite each expression in another form. So A says m to the 2/3. And this is actually, I think, in your exponent notes, your rules of exponents. We have the rules of logs, the rules of exponents. And remember, this 3 out here is the root. And the way I make that connection is it's on the bottom, and that like the roots of a tree. And what that turns out to be is like the cubed root of, sorry, that looks terrible, the cubed root of m squared. So that's another way to write that, okay? B, let's say I should put an A there. B says the log of b to the 4th power, okay? And a way to rewrite that is just like as if we were solving for a variable and you take the log of a side. The reason we take the log of a side is to get that variable down from the exponent. So if you bring it down, you can just do 4 times the log of b. And those are equal, those two values are equal. And C says log, we're going to use the change of base formula for this, log base 7 of x, okay? And if you find the change of base formula there, what that means is, again, our base is 7, so I make the connection that's going to be on the denominator. So if I take the log of 7, so it's no longer the base, it's just the log base 10 of 7, and I put that on the denominator, and then I have the log base 10 of x. If I do that, that's the same thing as log base 7 of x is the same as log base 10 of x divided by log base 10 of 7. D. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, I hope you see on your paper, the entire this entire expression is to the -1 power. So what I'm going to do, and I just don't want to write all of that down since I'm going to have to write it anyway, if I change that to the, I can change that to be +1 power if I flip everything that's in there. So I'm going to write down the denominator here on the numerator, so x cubed. Oops, sorry, that's the numerator. The denominator is x times y squared times z squared. So x times y squared. Watch this, you guys. What if I expand it? Y squared is really y times y, right? Times z squared is really z times z. And then since I've flipped it, I'm not done flipping it, but I'm going to go ahead. That changes that to a +1. Okay. All over, and I'm just expanding these so you can see easier how we are. So now I have 3 x's on the denominator. How we're actually canceling them off instead of just subtracting the exponents, which works, but I just kind of want you to see what's really happening, times z times z. Okay. So an x on the numerator, an x on the denominator. There's a y on the numerator, a y on the denominator, z and z, and another z and z. So what am I left with? I'm left with y over x squared. You could also write this as y, I might run out of room here, y times x to the -2, or x to the -2 times y. Let's see, I'm going to go back up to the top here to do E, which says 2 to the x times 2 to the y to the third power. So I'm going to do the inside of the parentheses. Since my base value is the same, all I have to do are add the exponents. So that's 2 to the x plus y to the third power. And then when I take the power to the power, I multiply this exponent times this exponent, which you can just write as 2 times 3 times x, 2 to the power of, 2 to the power of 3 times x plus y. You could rewrite that if you wanted to as 2 to the power of 3x plus 3y. That's all correct. And f log 10 minus log 3. And we used this when we were solving our logs, which is equal to log of the first one divided by 3. And the only reason we can combine these is because both of these logs have the same base, which is log base 10. Since there's you don't see anything, that means log base 10. Okay? All right. Question number 2. Solve. So we get to practice solving some more logs. So again, you'll need your log rules. All right. So, and we've been doing this a lot on our solving equations too, right? 8 times the log base. Is that 2.5 or 25? 2.5 it looks like. Log base 2.5, that's weird, right? 2.5 of x equals 12.5. Okay. So the first step's easy. This is 8 times this, so let's divide both sides by 8. Okay. So we still have log base 2.5 of x, it's 0.5, equals, what's 12.5 divided by 8? $1.5625. I'm just going to keep all of them at 562.1, 1.5625. Okay, now it looks like it's set up. I only have the log on one side, so I'm going to take my base, and then this is going to be my exponent. This is also that heart thing, if that's the way you remember it. So 2.5, 1.5625 is the exponent, is equal to x. So all I have to do in my calculadora is put in 2.5 to that whole thing to the power of, and this is an old type of calculator, so I'm going to put it in parentheses, so all this is in the parentheses, 1.5625 parentheses. I'm going to go ahead and round that 4.186. So I will say x is approximately 4.186. Okay? Let's see. So b, to be, or not to be. Log, but actually really to be. Log of x over 10 equals -4. X over 10 equals -4. So let's do this. We don't have a base, so I know my base is 10. So that means 10 to the -4, just like we did on the last problem, is equal to x over 10. Oh, and check this out. 10 to the -4 is the same thing as 1 over 10 to the 4th. So I just made that positive. Sometimes it makes it easier. 10 to the 4th power is that a 1 with 4 zeros? I think it is. I better double check myself, you guys. I don't want to do the wrong thing and have you yell at me. To the 4th power. Yeah, 1 with 4 zeros. So what is that? 10,000. So I'm going to cross multiply here, right? So 10,000x equals 10 times 1 is 10, right? Divide both sides by 10,000. Oops. Don't ignore that. Ignore that. Divided by 10,000. And I get x is equal to 1 over, because I just cross off this 0 and this 0, 1 over 1,000, which is the same as 1 over 10 to the power of 3, 3 zeros, which is the same as 10 to the power of negative 3. Okay, so any of those work. You could write it as a decimal 1 over 1,000. You could write it as a decimal, let's see, point, tenths place, hundredths place, thousandths place. Look at how many different ways you could write that. All right, to see or not to see. It's not as existential a question, I guess. 16x cubed equals 250. Cubed equals 250. Divide both sides by 16. Okay. I'm just going to keep that as a fraction. So we have x cubed equals 250 over 16. So we want to take the cube root of both sides. Which makes this just x. And let's see. Do you remember, we're just going to hit math, and then the cubed root on my calculator right here is number 4. If it gets any higher than that, you have to do the x root. But we're just going to use number 4. The cubed root of 250 divided by 16. Make sure those are in parentheses. Okay, so it's all in there. I think on the newer calculators, the radical goes all the way over the top, and then you have to arrow right to get out of it, but 2.5. Wow, that turned out to be a very nice answer. 2.5. 2D. 2D. I might just be able to finish this one, and then this is going to end, and I'll upload it, and then I'll have to start another one. But oh, I should start talking. I should stop talking and do this. I'm going to go ahead and take both to the 5th power. So then I have x cubed equals negative 3.6 to the 5th power, and then we're going to take the cubed root, right? So take the cubed root. Take the cubed root. Oh, watch this, you guys. Here's how I will finish. And we can practice something else. Let's leave it. You can leave it like that. Or you can leave it like, oh yeah, you can have the cubed root of a negative number. Or you could have negative 3.6, right, to the power of 5/3. Okay, and if you put it into the calculator, you should get x is approximately, because I'm going to round it, negative 8.456. Let's just do that. Okay, I'm going to upload this one. I'm almost at 15 minutes, and then I will keep working on another video. Have a good night, you guys.